It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. And I just wanted to add a few comments specifically around the disabled area, which will probably come as no surprise to other members considering my formal role. And I do echo the importance and crucially the opportunities of apprenticeships that provide to predominantly younger disabled people. And that context is right, that in this country 81% of non-disabled people would expect to be in work. Those with a disability is 48%, that's up 4% since we came to office, 590,000 jobs in the last 3 years, which equates to about 500 or 600 extra disabled people into work a day. But those with a learning disability, it is about 6%. And all political parties of all persuasions, all governments have tried, tweaked, and very little moves. And the reality is, and I saw this on my visits, that for those with a learning disability, they need patient, one-to-one support to get them into the work. And to me, that was an apprenticeship. That is the whole point of an apprenticeship, which gives you those real, tangible, real-life skills. And on some of the brilliant visits that I saw where they did the equivalent of apprenticeship, including Fuchs's Academy, the hotel in Bridgewater, 80% of their students, 80%, remained in work at the end of their 3-year course. And it was only, the only limitation on this was the fact that the third year, the in-work training, the equivalent to the apprenticeship, didn't qualify for apprenticeship funding, and it was too expensive to have an unlimited cap on those numbers. And I would say of that 80% who stay in work, 48.8% were paid. So not all of them were paid, not all of them were full-time work, but for each and every one of them, and having spoken to the parents, I knew what a real difference that was making to people. And that's why I triggered the Paul Maynard review. And I was delighted to see the outcomes. Myself and the former Biz Minister, we signed it off 3 days before the reshuffle. We had a feeling that it was important we did that quickly in case something changed. So I would welcome an update and welcome how the Minister will make sure that the Institute does prioritise spreading this information. Because my understanding is this will now become the case that if you have a learning disability, you will be exempt from the Grade C GCSE Maths and English, which is a hurdle too far for many of these young adults. So I would appreciate an update and how we will keep them focused on this. Now, there was talk in one of the amendments about a target, and I understand targets. I did A-level maths, I get quite geeky with numbers, that's how I remember all these stats. I would just gently caution, though, that we do need to learn the lessons of HE figures, where each general election came up, each political party would then suddenly announce that we were going to have a slightly higher proportion of people who went to university. It was like an arms race on students. And the reality is, there are some people who have gone to university to meet those targets who would have been better served doing things like an apprenticeship, which is why the wheel has gone full circle, and here we are now. And I would just caution that we don't want to artificially shoehorn some people to do something that we think is the right thing, but for them it isn't. The one lesson I learnt as a Minister for Disabled People is each and every person is an individual with their own unique challenges and their own unique opportunities. And as tempting as it can be to have those targets, because it does focus minds, I personally would be more assured if the Minister committed to meet twice a year with the Institute with this number one on the agenda as the right thing, and to have that, and then we as individual MPs who meet with these organisations can look to hold account on that. And just a slight point on the disability advisors, it was a fair point. Actually, DWP did listen, they did change that. There is disability advisors now returning to every single job centre. I think it's about an additional 500, or basically back to where we were at the very beginning. So you can call that a score draw. And even when they did reduce them, it wasn't simply to have less support for people with disabilities. The idea was that all staff would be trained to be fully disability aware. But it's been recognised, actually having somebody with specialist skills in every job centre was probably better. So as I said, it's gone right round back to the beginning.
Yeah.